$1.6 billion. That's what the USA have just passed a law to spend. Bill HR 1157, countering the PRC Malign Influence Fund. It was voted by a majority of 351 to 36 in the House recently, and it will give $1.6 billion to the US State Department and US aid over a 5-year period. And the money will go to independent media and civil society in countries around the world to counter PRC's malign influence globally. Which basically what it means is they're going to give $1.6 billion to lots of media to create negative stories about China. It's a huge sum of money, $1.6 billion. It's twice the operating costs of CNN annually. And it will be given to media around the world to create lies, misinformation and negative stories about China. And actually this is unbelievably hypocritical, because recently accused Russia of doing exactly the same thing. But when they think Russia are doing it to them, they absolutely don't like it at all. But they think it's okay for them to do it to others. And this is kind of like how the US is rules-based order works. They make up rules and they break them whenever it suits them. But this is really nothing new to the USA. I mean, they've been doing this for years and years through the NED. However, this time the 1.6 billion is specifically for operations relating to China. And so basically what they're going to do, they're going to give money to media and influencers around the world to basically spread China bad messages. And what they've actually said, these organisations don't even need to be transparent about where they've got the funding from. So they will create these lies and misinformation about China, and they won't even need to say that their funding has come from America. It will be completely transparent. And they use the term in the bill, malign influence. Now that's a really, really broad term. So this money could be used to, discredit Chinese infrastructure and economic initiatives in countries around the world. Or it could be used to create political messaging aimed at Chinese contractors who are working in foreign countries, building airports, ports, roads, hospitals, railways as part of the BRI initiative. And we have already seen some of this in operation with the debt trap diplomacy narrative that's come from the West. And as a matter of interest, if you search for a paper by Deborah Broughtiger of the UK, you will find that debt trap narrative has been completely debunked. And this shows just how important it is to protect your own information space. China don't need Western social media apps. They created their own. They created Weibo, they created WeChat. All these social media apps that China created, they don't use Western or American social media apps. And just imagine if they did, how dangerous that would be now, because America could push messaging through those apps to hundreds of millions of Chinese people. Just like Europe. Europe don't have their own information space, and they use American apps for almost everything. In fact, I don't think Europe have any of their own apps. So American messaging can reach as many European people as they wish. But China was smart enough to close this down, and they control all of their own information space, which now shows you how smart they were to do that. I mean, this is American hypocrisy at its highest. You know, America are just out of morals and ethics at this point. You know, they will complain Russia are doing this to them, yet they have no problem in doing it to another country. But you need to remember, as Mike Pompeo once said, we lie, we cheat, and we steal. And this is America doing anything they wish or they think they can do to counter China. So you might ask, why are America going down this road? Now, some will maybe argue it's to do with technology. You know, there's a lot of Westerners who seem to think that China steals American technology and is getting ahead that way. Now, that was probably true some years ago, but I can tell you from living here, that is certainly not the case anymore. I mean, just look, China file more patents every year than America. There was a report out by ASPI not so long back that showed China leading something like 90% of critical future technologies over America. So there's many areas where China are actually leading America in technology. And think about this. So each year China graduates about 6 or 7 times more people in mathematics, sciences and engineering than the US do. So there's actually an abundance of talent here. I live in Shenzhen, which is the home of Huawei and BYD. Huawei are building a new research and development center in Shanghai. They already have one in Dongguan. The new one in Shanghai will employ approximately another 30,000 people. BYD are building a new research and development facility in Shenzhen. They're looking for about 6,000 people. So there's no shortage of innovation here in China. So this concept that China steals technology is just a bit of a non-starter, I feel, nowadays. I think the real reason is that America are doing this is they are scared about China's Belt and Road Initiative. China have become friendly with many countries across Africa and the Middle East. Now, you've probably noticed the USA trying to make inroads into Africa recently. America and Europe had many years to help Africa, but they didn't. China have a different approach, and Africa like that approach. They're giving Africa infrastructure, and you know, they're making their economies better. Well, America don't like this because America want to have primacy around the globe, and China are threatening that primacy around the globe. And that's exactly the reason why America are launching this campaign to try and discredit China around the world. But in my opinion, this simply will not work. The Chinese people and the Chinese government are not stupid. They know what America are up to. This is nothing new to them. America have been doing this for many years. They've done this, they've tried to disrupt other countries, they've tried to overthrow governments, and it all starts with disinformation through the NED, the National Endowment for Democracy. So, as I say, China are not stupid. Now, why I think that will happen is that this will be just a complete waste of money by the US, because China will continue to do what China does. They will continue to make policy, they will continue to rise, and they will continue to innovate, regardless of what the US do. It's such a shame that, you know, the US can't accept that they will have a peer competitor in the world, because ultimately, due to just the sheer numbers, that China will surpass the USA. But I don't believe China want to be the world dominant power. China want to coexist and have a fairer world with everybody else. However, I think until America realize that, then we are going to have these kind of bills passed by the US. I'd really like to know what you think down in the comments. Please leave your comments down below. However, from Xi'an, as you can see in the background, I'm in Xi'an. From Xi'an, as always, take care.